I think there are obvious signs that Britain is changing. I think the rally around the decision to leave, even by some people that were in favour of staying in the EU, like the Prime Minister, I think the rally round has not just been a rally round the decision, it's been a rally round the principles behind that decision. And so I think what you've seen recently is that Britain is preparing itself to deal with what a lot of the Brexiteers believed was an ingrained immigration problem. So I think you will see a lot more hard talking on border controls, and therefore our borders will not be as open, and we're beginning to send signals that they won't be in the future. I think the other thing you're starting to see is a discussion as to what type of Brexit are we going to have. And there's a polarised view on this. On the one hand, you've got people like the RMT, very powerful union, that would want a Brexit where Britain has stronger labour laws. And then on the other, you've got a Brexit which Professor Patrick Minford, very famous economist, says we should have looser labour laws. Both are Brexiteers, both voted out, but for entirely different reasons. And there's going to be a lot of debate on which faction, the libertarians or the let's lock everything down, which faction's going to win. Well, actually, what I think is interesting is I think the argument for Brexit, where you have a better economy and a better standard of living for everybody, is the libertarian one. So the message was let's take control, but what the libertarians said, let's take control and then let's abolish tariffs completely. Let's just scrap them. So there's totally different views on what would work. So the situation that works best for Britain, taking control, is to say we'll take control and we're going to trade with the world tariff free. We're going to abolish it. And that would be amazing. We would get an improvement in GDP. Comparative advantage. We would concentrate on the things that Britain is best at. But there's another byproduct of this, and it's that it will benefit poorer countries, because the Common Agricultural Policy puts a high tariff on the import of agricultural goods. A lot of those goods are exported by poorer countries. So we actually create poverty and unemployment through those tariffs. We should scrap them, and that would be good for the poorer countries, and it will be good for us too. I think you've got a wait and see view going on with lots of businesses. The international businesses that have got manufacturing here or offices providing a lot of services here are almost saying we're going to wait and see. And what they want to know is, will Britain still have access to the European common market? What has definitely changed is that until that question is answered, you're going to get a reduction in long-term investment in Britain. There's no way that you're going to get major investment decisions taken by companies in other countries about investing in Britain until the boards of those companies can be certain that they've got some stability and they know exactly what the trading relationship will be like with the rest of the world. So that's an effect. And possibly you've seen it more in the banks than anywhere else. They're already starting to fret about their access to financial markets in what's the biggest single European bloc in the world. And that's huge for people like Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and the other Citigroup, the other big international banks in the city. And I think what we've seen recently is a lot of we've heard the noise that they're making about the future. We haven't yet seen the exodus, but I think what's starting to happen is projects that may have been invested in Britain won't come here. You won't notice it until 20, 30, 40 years down the road. You suddenly realise that the growth of the city as a financial centre has lagged other major centres around the world. So why did I use hot dogs to explain the importance of free trade? Well, let me just say that you've got the economies around the globe are infinitely complex, and a trick of economists is to distill all that into a simple example. And hot dogs, because they need a roll and a sausage to make the one product, were a great way of going about it. But I can't take credit for it, because Paul Krugman wrote about hot dogs in free trade in the late 90s, 97. So I unashamedly stole the idea from a man much better known and much brighter than me. And then I nicked the other idea for the ratio of hot dogs between two competing countries from David Ricardo, who wrote about it back in 1817. So again, I nicked the idea from a very, very well-renowned economist so that I could take two brilliant ideas from two brilliant economists, stick them into my hot dogs and explain why free trade is the best thing about globalisation. So Minford he's not the only economics professor that's pro-Brexit, but he is perhaps the most extreme with regard free trade. You're asking if he's unhinged. Absolutely he's unhinged. I think he's been unhinged all his life. Like most great people with coming up with fantastic ideas, they don't think the same as the rest of us. And I've got to say, I am not sure the UK or the world is ready for an economy based on the thoughts and principles of Patrick Minford. But it's a pity, because I think if we were, we'd have the most scintillating, electric, open, wealthy economy in the world, and we would blitz everybody. So let's hope that Brexit means we take on the views of an unhinged economics professor.